Okay, I think we are live now. Hey everyone. Bonjour à tous, soyez les bienvenus dans notre live session de Road to PyCon. And we are here today with Dawn, who will be our guest for today's session. And we talk a little bit about her, about what she's doing and all of that, and have some advices for the community and community members who wanted to step into the STEM and tech spaces. So, welcome, Don. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's the morning here in Philadelphia where I am. What time is it where you are, Jeffrey?
It's 1 p.m. here right now. We are on
Okay.
the UTC. Yeah. I,
Okay, great. I'm doing well and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
you're welcome. You're welcome. We are so glad as well. And yeah, I will let you introduce yourself first and move move on for the question. But before that, we have Washu Boraimo with us, who is right now on the backstage, and I am here as well. So Washu Boraima is the lead organizer of this year's PyCon, and I am the co-organizer. Yeah, you co-organizer of the PyCon, working with Washu and others people. And so very proud on what Washu is doing, what the team is doing, and yeah, well done, guys. Thank you
Yes.
so much being with us, working on day and night, all that. So yeah, we hope this event for this session will be very wonderful and grateful. So we are hoping to have many people from international country as well, and we hope everything will be cool. So yeah, over to you, Don. Your
Awesome.
intro. Yeah.
Before I intro myself, I do want to say that I started out my Python career at a conference. And so, for people who are watching and who may be interested and not sure whether or not they have what it takes to learn the programming language, start their career, and make friends, as well as have opportunities to give back to your community, it has been a long journey. I've been doing this in my career for about 12 years now, like 11, 12 years. And it's been wonderful, life changing. So I guess that's a great segue into me, but I just wanted to take a moment to shout out the organizers that I've been in touch with and all of the organizers I haven't met with yet. They're doing a wonderful job for the community and they're inviting you in, and I hopefully uh, you'll come to the conference. So my name is Dawn Wages, she, her pronouns. I am the former chair of the Python Software Foundation. There is now a new chair. His name is Giannis Lydell. And if you're interested in learning more about the Python Software Foundation, it is a nonprofit in the United States that governs the Python programming language. Uh, Foundation and all of the nuances that require to keep the program running operationally. And then there's a separate group that we also support that is actually creating the code and updating the language and focusing on the open source programming part. So the back office operational part, talking about finances and accounting, hiring, community grants, things like that, that's all happens through the Python Software Foundation. Right now, I am the lead of community and developer relations at Anaconda. And if you meet me in the real world, or if you're meeting me for the first time now and want to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free to send me an invite. And if you're curious about what it means to be part of developer relations or about any of the tools that I like to showcase, please let me know. And I'm happy to talk to you more about Python and how to use some of these cool developer tools. Yeah, that's my intro.
Wow, that's wonderful.
I believe we might have some technical difficulties. I'm not sure if it's on my side.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I think this is a technical issue. So it was amazing listening to you. So you have a great background talking about the PSF, Anaconda. So our community here, if you want to connect with Dawn, so I will drop the link to her profile. She's an amazing uh, person. So I get the opportunity to meet her in person. So I can
Yes.
talk more about that, and this is very good. So you introduce yourself, you talk about the community, you talk about a lot of things that I was listening, and I'm sure that the community also listen to that and take note. So I'm kind of advocate of ladies in tech, and the most interesting part is when I saw you are a lady in
Yes.
tech, not
Yes.
just a lady in tech, but a leader. So you were director at PSF, you are director of community relation in at Anaconda.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
so so I really want to understand how. So I have a question. So the question is that how is it possible to as a lady? So I'm not
Yes.
saying that a lady cannot do a lady can do
Yes.
that, but we have that problem here. So we are giving opportunity to lady, but they don't want to step up and do the work. So sometimes they are kind of afraid.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
try to understand how are you managing that? How can we inspire another ladies to join the movement before Jeffrey can take over and continue?
Awesome. Yeah, I'll answer the question. Glad to see you back, Jeffrey. Um, So, yes, ladies, it's an extra special challenge to make sure that you can give yourself the confidence and prove to the person you're talking to that you have what it takes to not just do, but lead. And I really appreciate the question. Um, what started my journey as a lady in programming, but not necessarily a lady leader, because I've been a lady leader almost all my life. And I'm sure there's some ladies out there who might resonate with that. When I was this big, I was a little one, I would walk into a room and say, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. I've always been very direct and assertive and um, ambitious on what I wanted to do. And I feel very lucky that I've had people and leaders in my life to encourage me to remain assertive and ambitious. That's not everyone's story. I know a lot of lady leaders who do not also describe themselves as ambitious or assertive, but that's my story. And I think it really helps the type of leader that I like to be and the spaces that I raise my hand to lead in. And so to talk about the beginning of it is where I started from very young, when even not in programming. And then the way that my leadership showed up in programming started out by following a Django Girls program. So I started out my Python journey with Django. It was my first my first deploy of Python to the cloud was within a Django Girls workshop. For people who are not familiar with Django Girls, do you all have Django Girls at PyCon Togo?
Not
Not
yet,
yet,
but we are working
but
on
we are
that to have
working on
it.
that.
Yeah.
Please reach
So
back out to me. I don't know if I can visit in person, but I am happy to help virtually. So let
You
me
must
know.
visit.
yeah,
You must visit.
we'll be
You must
glad
visit.
because we have Django swag as well.
Yay! Great. So, for people who may not be familiar with Django Girls, it is international and it is usually a 1 to 2 day event where ladies will get together to learn how to build a website in Python. And there is a framework that you get to use in Python. And so you will pip install Django, and then you'll pull down a bunch of pre-existing code that someone else wrote in the ecosystem, and it will help you get started with already building a tool. So that's why you're leveraging open source. From the first line, you're using open source tools to build a website. And then you'll build the website throughout the day, learning lots of concepts all in between, very foundational and important things that will last your entire career. I remember the first few years of me being a full-time Django developer, I would go back to some of the notes or resources or second or third order notes that I would take from my Django Girls workshop. And all of that foundational knowledge that I learned in those 2 days absolutely has followed me throughout my entire career, and helped me become a much better developer. And so the Django Girls workshop and learning that was one of the first times that I saw a whole bunch of women all in pursuit of the same goal I am. And then from there, I started organizing workshops at different conferences. I did it at DjangoCon Europe 1 year, and then I've done it at DjangoCon US another year, I believe. And so there's been several workshops that I've done a couple times. And then as my impact grew, or my confidence grew, I started joining open source core maintainer groups, and started raising my hand for more and more opportunities. So it really came with this step of learning a little bit, leading a little bit, learning a more, leading a little bit more, learning a little bit more, and leading a little bit more. And it continues to be a really exciting journey to do that.
That's nice. That's awesome, and we'll be glad like to have you online. Why not having like speaking to guests about Django and Django, like the Django Girls community, PyLadies community as well. Why not? Because
PyLadies
we
is
do have
fantastic.
like 3 to 4 or 5 track of Django session for this PyCon, and that will be very, very wonderful. Thank you for like sharing that moment you started, and yeah, it was very interesting seeing this, and as well inspiring at the same time. We have people in the comment right now asking questions, but we'll come back to you later.
Sure.
And yeah, go ahead, Django. That's nice. Thank you, Sarah. Okay. So I will like move on a next question. Like you mentioned Django, you mentioned open source communities as well. Like what are like differences between the Django community and the open source community? Is there any difference between both communities?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of differences, and it ends up being there's a lot of similarities and a lot of differences, and it also depends on how you enter the community and your individual experience on who do you interact with. So some of the similarities, lots of people will focus on publishing to GitHub. For example, GitHub is the #1 place where people will publish their open code. Another similarity is open source licenses. Most people lean to using OSI defined licenses, and that just defines what open source actually means, what are the parameters of the open source license, and how can you use or leverage this code after you reach it on maybe GitHub or somewhere else. There are other licenses, and there are also other code repositories, but those are pretty similar across many open source tools, open source communities. There's also some certain conventions people use. People use pull requests and commits. People will open new issues. There's contributing guides. Many times on open issues, there is a good first issue. If anyone is curious to learn more about any of these intricacies, I know the organizers of this conference will absolutely help you. I see some of my friends in the chat. Hi, Sarah. I'm sure some of the experts in the chat would be able to help you as well in English or in French. And you are also welcome to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you more about open source in general. Some of the things that are specific to the Python community are also even more specific in the Django community or in the scientific Python community or the Flask community, for example. And there's some sharing and some differences as well. So I started out in Django, which is a web development community, and we are really focused on accessibility and having really thoughtful and sensible defaults. Django as a framework is known for the perfectionist with deadlines. So if you want to build fast, but also build something very good, secure, robust, thoughtful with millions of people across the world, Django is a really good option because it will help you with this full stack development opportunity. But there also has some fully baked is like almost complete uh, features in Django that will help you do things like page routing or a cross-site reference uh, um, uh, features with
I know that we yeah, feature like the panel administration to manage your website, your whole website.
yes,
So yeah, that's
the
definitely
admin panel is a big
interesting.
one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I might be getting a little bit too much in the detail, but I think it really shows how much I love Django and why people choose it, but it also flavors the type of community that leans to it, because the type of people who reach for Django are the type of people who are interested in that type of experience. And then we all kind of communicate with that understanding and then continue to build. Differently, scientific computing is a bunch of researchers who many times, may not choose Python first. They just need Python to get over their research or their expertise in a different domain, and then they go on to the rest of their workflows, only using Python in little pieces when they absolutely need to unblock them in their main goal. And that also colors the type of communication, the frequency, and the location that a lot of these conversations happen. So you'll find a physicist who is an expert in physics not really care much about Python particularly, but need to go onto a forum or open up a pull request to support a feature just so they can get their physics research paper or analysis done. And so that's very different in that community. And I could go on more, but I would recommend that people get really curious on each of these communities or what they want to get done. And then they'll have the opportunity to get curious about the community and just go in with open eyes.
Yeah, I think we talk about a lot of terms right now, and we can go on speaking of on others. Like we talk about open source,
Mhm,
ethical
mhm,
licenses, the Aussie
mhm,
licenses. We talk about
mhm.
Django, Fast API, Flask, PyLadies, all those things. Like
Yep.
it's huge. It's huge. So I will step on to like the ethical part. So you were involved in with organization in it for ethical resources as well. So what does like the ethical means really?
Yes. Oh, great. Thank you so much for asking about that. I don't get to talk about it often. So when I mentioned some of the similarities across all open source, one of the similarities is open source licenses. And that
Yeah.
is just a text document that shows up in the root of your folder, that tells everyone who comes across your open code how they're allowed to use it after they reach your code. So one of the things that I'm really passionate about is an ethical source license, and that is not approved by OSI. OSI is a foundation that exists. I believe they're based in the US, but they are globally recognized, and they're the ones right now who people mostly lean to determine what is a real license and what is not a real license. And they negotiate that for us and across an open forums across the world. And there is an external challenge to that. It's always an intellectual and friendly. I don't believe there's any antagonism there. But there is an external challenge that certain licenses should be adopted. And one is an ethical source license, which means that people are not allowed to do unethical things that are mentioned in that license once they reach your code and if they want to leverage your code. And so I created in 2020, right after the death of the murder of George Floyd, the first anti-racist ethical source license called At the Root. And so the goal is, in our journey in building the license over about 2 years, was to make sure that we prioritize the experience of Black people and how they are systematically excluded and harmed in software, in order to use those experiences in the license to be very explicit about what is and is not permitted. There are many other ethical source licenses as well, and it's governed by the Organization for Ethical Source.
All right, that's interesting. And yeah, we hope to see the link share in the comment, or afterward we have to like take a look at that and read it. If people wanted to contribute as well, we will share in the community so we can like contribute
Awesome.
on that.
I'll share the
that's
link.
smart, yeah. All right, good. So I will go to the next question, but like specifically on the Python Foundation. So you were a board member of the Python, like the PSF. So will you like tell a little bit about what means to be a Python, like a PSF board member?
Yes. So I was a board member for 3 years. That is the normal term length for a PSF board member. So if you go to www.python.org, that website is the default landing page to install Python. That website gives you all of the information that you need, or that is available for the Python Software Foundation. And on that, you can find what our resolutions are, what our the election cycle. The elections are actually coming up. The new election dates have just been announced via email. And so I would like everyone who is watching this call to sign up to be a member, so you can determine who is going to be in charge of the foundation moving forward, so they can make sure that your interests are represented. And there's currently 2 people from the African continent who are on the PSF board. We have Abigail, and we also have Sheena. And so if you're familiar with either leaders, also 2 lady leaders in the ecosystem, you should look them up. They're fantastic. And they are looking out for the interest of you and the global Python community. So the way that you join to be a membership, oh, great. And we're at it on the screen. Yay. So you go to that link, python.org/PSF/membership. And there's 2 ways you can do it. You can donate with money as little as $25 US, or you can self-certify that you contribute on average 5 hours per month or more on open source Python projects. This does not need to be code contributions. So if you are an organizer, for example, you, Joffrey, you are absolutely, if you're not already a PSF member, you can absolutely be one. Yay! Great. So I recommend people who do volunteer work and may not know that they can be a PSF member based off of their volunteer work, on average 5 hours a month, and then you get to self-certify. And it's not a intrusive process to do. It's just a form, you fill it out, and then you get confirmation. And so I say all that to say that it is a really important role. We are elected by the PSF membership. There is an election every year, and a different group will leave and a new group will come in. And it's all staggered. So it's always about between 2 and 4 people who leave or come in at any given time. And then we have monthly meetings to discuss what's happening in the community and how we can support it in a bunch of different ways. Some of them are very, very boring. Some of them are about accounting and particulars on conversations and communication styles and things like that. And then some of them are incredibly exciting. For example, the recent board just released a strategic plan for the next 5 years. And so I recommend people who are interested in what the goal of the board is for the next 5 years to go read that new strategic plan.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. And like, I do have another question related to the PSF and board things like what people misunderstand sometimes is like what PSF does for the global community, especially for the communities that are like organizing PyCon or EuroPython, yeah, I think PyCon Italia, Python
Yes.
like Python Togo, Python South Africa, Python Ghana, and all this Python, like what really Python, the PSF does for the global Python community in a few words, and then we will come back to like what the PSF is like looking not for our community like Python Togo and especially for communities in Africa.
Yes. So what currently we do, right now we can provide support via sharing our logo as a community supporting body, right? So if you apply, and I say we, but I'm not on the board anymore, so it's that team right now. But the PSF, if you put in an application, they can approve or deny, saying that the PSF supports this event. What used to happen, and it will happen again, it's just not back into play right now because there was financial constriction on the PSF, is we used to give grants to events across the world. And that's how a lot of the global events that you see got started, is because we were able to grant around $300,000 approximately to many, many different organizations over the last several years. And we did have to pause that for a while because of the constriction and changes in the open source sponsorship landscape. So lots have been changing. Things are getting more expensive, and people are large organizations are sponsoring less or the same. So that's one way that you can keep an eye out. If you are organizing an event and you would like sponsorship, keep an eye out for what the PSF is doing and hold them accountable, right? If you are becoming a voting member and you want finances to go back to supporting these smaller localized events, ask for it. There's also office hours, the PSF board office hours that happen over Discord every several quarters. And so if you are interested in talking to them directly, then you should absolutely join those office hours and ask the really hard questions. And they'll come up with very good answers for you. And it's great, but it's important that we all hold them accountable, because this is your governing body. Yep. So I believe I answered that question. Yeah. So that's what we do so far. But we also do a lot of things that support the language, which feels a little bit less direct. So, for example, there is PyPI. The infrastructure director runs PyPI. So where you get all of your packages, if you want to pip install anything, that happens because the PSF runs.
Yeah, that's interesting. So PSF guys, I'm like calling you to the action to go sign up for the PSF membership, become a member, go to your emails, you will find the election mails as well to be ready to start voting, and also go read the OZ licenses, open source, what is open source, and also what's the ethical open source licenses as well. So guys, that's interesting. So people that are watching now right now can support us by like sending us resources or books, it can be in-kind resources like the infrastructure, like I think cloud credit for our community member, or learning material as well, or it can be by finance as well. We have the QR code on the screen right now. You can like scan the QR code and see what you can contribute with. So that's very, very interesting. And yeah, thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you all, like being our side and helping us, advising us, and keep continue working for the community. That's interesting, and we say thank you, thank you. So then we will go with another question. Like we talk a lot about communities, we talk a lot about work in community and other organization. Like what are like lessons that you learn from a community, and you like you say that's something you wanted to like say or share with people here are watching that right now. Yeah.
Yes. So the most important learning that I've had maybe over the last couple years. So this is a very recent thing that I'm kind of learning and navigating in the community as I grow, is that everyone is different. And I know that's something that feels very basic and maybe you learn in the very beginning, but the more that I talk to people about their experiences getting started and my experience just continuing to grow, I always feel like I'm getting started because I'm always doing something new. But we share conversations about friction. We'll say, this person may be saying this and I don't understand, or I'm trying to get this going and this person seems to want to not have the same thing working in the same direction that I do. And sometimes that happens, right? It's not you're working with the same personalities in the real world that you are in open source code. But one of the things that I really try to instill upon people, one, is always assume best intentions. Everyone wants to grow their career. Everyone wants to learn more Python. Everyone wants to bring more Python across the world. And if you assume best intentions, you are able to go much, much farther with the collaboration goals that you have with this group. And you can't do anything by yourself. You can try, but the most successful projects, programs, open source foundations are all done in groups with lots of different people. So I recommend that really working on communication skills and assuming best intentions for people, and then also knowing that it's not the entire community. One bad interaction is not the entire community, and that there's also code of conducts, right? So I think there's a gap that happens where you really should focus on communication skills before it's a code of conduct violation, right? There's a whole bunch of friction that can exist in the ecosystem before it actually is a code of conduct violation. But if people are truly not treating you well, there are also many code of conducts that govern different spaces in the community, and be sure to reach out to the governing organization if you do see violations of the code of conduct. So that's my recommendation. It doesn't necessarily need to be about the code of conduct itself, but just ways to navigate the community, feel safe, feel included, and build wonderful things with your group. Don't feel deterred if you meet one personality of person versus another, because there are lovely, lovely humans in the community and you can build really amazing things. I've made some of the best friends that I've ever had in the Python community through work. So I hope that everyone gets to have that similar experience. And if you do run across a bad egg or two, don't give up. We're out there and you can build great things together.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a great lesson then. So we have the code of conduct, we have legal part that we show people in the community, and we wrote the rules there to like to not let anyone out of his space and to be included. So yeah, that's very, very interesting. And we follow some pattern that help us to be on track, to be very good and welcome to everyone as well. That's very, very interesting lesson. And like I wanted to ask another, so we are like at the end of the session, but one last question that's come out to into my mind, like if a young Togolese people or a young developer in Togo right now is watching us, like what can be the thing like we can say to him to start learning development, or to start or to join a Python community, to start working with us and build something amazing.
Yeah. Be brave. Yeah. It's scary. Everything is scary. Sometimes new things are scary. And
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a I can understand how it happens because I have been around for about 11, 12 years, but I still feel new compared to some of my friends who've been in Python for 20 years or 30 years, because Python is about 30 years old. And I have some friends who've been around since the very beginning, and I feel like the new kid. But I am encountering new things every day, every month. And it does not stop being somewhat scary. And maybe that's my personality. I get a little scared first, but be brave and do it anyway. And people are scared right beside you. And maybe you can make some friends who are just as scared as you are, and maybe you're a little less scared together.
Yeah, so guys, be brave, be curious, go and like step out, guys. Step out. Don't be scary, but because everything is scary at the first time, but like go handle it. You can do it. We are all together, and so we can help you as well. So thank you so much. We will start like having the questions that are here. Okay, so let me just read the question. Yeah, question. Okay. So this is an acknowledgement. Sorry, my English is not that good, but yeah, I
Your
try.
English is better than my French.
Okay. Okay, I think yes, we have one question. I know you are an awesome speaker. What was your first speaking experience? That's the first question. Yeah, we'll answer that first. What was your first speaking experience?
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much for the question, Sarah. I spoke in 2018 at Wagtail Space. It was in Philadelphia. And so for people who are not familiar with Wagtail, I'm on the core team for Wagtail, although I've been away from their meetings for about a year or something, but I'm going to go back. I'm really excited for the team and I love the framework. So if you're familiar with Python, and then Python is program language, Django is the framework, and there is a extension of the framework. It is almost a framework of itself, but it is built on top of Django. So it has most of the Django opinions and some additional Django opinions and a few tweaks, called Wagtail. And so if you're interested in building a website with 99% of all of the Django functionality, with additional functionality that helps you build a content management system, a CMS. So if you're interested in something like a WordPress, but you're building it from scratch and you're building it in Python, Wagtail is a great solution. I know I think multi-million revenue organizations that are using Wagtail in their ecosystem. It's also very big in the nonprofit space. And the company that created Wagtail, called Torchbox, is known for doing Python and Python software for good. And they're based in Bristol in the UK. And they're such lovely people. And so if you want to give back to that community, leverage that framework, or speak at Wagtail Space like I did in 2018, you absolutely can do that. And my first talk was about, so are you familiar with the movie The Land Before Time? With the little
Yes,
dinosaurs? It came out in
yes.
the 80s. Yeah, it was about that. So
Oh,
each of the little dinosaurs represented a personality, and it is someone who is entering the open source ecosystem and their little personality. And so there was the bang your head against the wall Asaurus, which is kind of like a dinosaur theme, and it is someone who will want to continue to go forward and do the thing over again, but individually until they get the solution. So there's a bunch of them, different personalities that are represented by these dinosaurs on how they navigate the open source community. Yeah, and it was great. And actually, I still do that talk sometimes, and I'll switch it up and I'll change it. The most recent time I gave that talk was 2023.
Wow, that's nice, wonderful. And I knew about Wactel, I think back then in 2023, when I started, like I jumped in the open source space after I finished my bachelor degree. And I work with the Wactel team with Thibaut and others people. I think we have Damilola as well there. Yeah. So it was very incredible learning from people like that. But I wasn't that in Django and Python at that time. I always use Python for script and DevOps things. So yeah, but it was very nice to work on accessibility, technical writing, and documentation with the WhatGal team, and it was very incredible. Thank you so much. I think we can move to the next question, and it was from Sarah as well. And Sarah said thank you, best advice ever. All right. Wasu, can you like move back to the question? We have another question left back then with Sarah. Okay. Can we be try now?
I do see Sarah's question. The second half was, how do you manage to improve your public speaking, which is so
Yep.
kind. I think I'm always improving. I don't know if I'm as good as I want to be yet, but I really enjoy it. I've been doing it since 2018, so it's almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years and just a few more. And the way that I improve is practice. The way that I think I'm going to get even better is by rewatching my old videos.
Yeah.
I currently do not like to watch my old videos. I can't watch myself speak.
That's true.
It's really hard. I can get to a certain point by getting the confidence and the practice. I practice a lot beforehand, but it's really being calm and in my body and recognizing that I'm speaking to someone in front of me. If you are moving slow or you're speaking slow, it feels slower in your head, but speaking deliberately is really helpful for coming across well. I get compliments on my talks when I speak slower and more deliberately, and I take my time to pick my words. But I think the further I will go, so my next chapter of improving in my public speaking, I think will be rewatching my old videos and giving myself more critiques. I'll do that eventually.
So it's really hard to like go back and listen to your voice as the same time, but like where sometimes. But yeah, we learn from all the mistakes we've done so far, and we like continue improving. That's interesting and interesting lesson as well to learn. So yeah. Yes, that's hard to learn to rewatch videos back then you did. So yeah, I think that's all we have. John Paul, Sarah, what you and others people here. Thank you so much being with us, and thank you also, Sarah, Dawn for like, oh yes. We have another question
Yeah.
that popped up. Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yes. So I have it. Downs as head of community and developer relation at Anaconda, you are at the head of an ecosystem used by millions of data enthusiasts. In your
Yes.
view, how can a company like Anaconda make a tangible contribution to energizing and supporting local open source communities, particularly here in Africa? That is interesting question.
This is my job every day. And this is such a great question. And I love that it's really, and it's holding me to task, right? It is telling me that there's an audience in Africa. And I knew this, right? Like when I visit the continent and I see all of the brilliance,
Yeah,
specifically in AI, it's been amazing to find the experts that are homegrown in the African continent. PyCon Nigeria and PyCon Africa in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, were fantastic experiences. I've also been to DjangoCon Africa, I believe only once, but I am absolutely planning on making it back out there. And I say all that to say that uh, the way that we can do that and the way that I'm planning on working on it, we are launching, I guess this is me announcing it, but you can keep on my socials as we continue to talk more about it. We're building a champions program for Anaconda. So if you've used Conda, so Conda is a package manager. So if you Conda install a package, if you've used Conda, if you are interested in the Anaconda distribution of Python, if you've used any of our tools, like Anaconda Desktop is our new tool where you can build agents. Anaconda Navigator is a legacy tool where you are able to manage your data science environments. And we also have recently acquired Metaflow, or excuse me, Outer Bounds, which leverages Metaflow. And Metaflow is a multi-step data science and agent orchestration framework, open source, free to use. If you're interested in any of those tools, reach out and you could be a champion. And I absolutely plan on finding champions in the African continent. And then that's where we are able to start a relationship with these individuals to help collaborate on content and visibility. They can amplify our work, we can amplify their work, and we are growing that ecosystem with the experts across the world to talk about different competencies and technologies. So that's one very concrete way that we are planning on engaging with the African continent. There's another way that I want to talk about. We're not able to do it right now, but it's sponsoring events. And so as much as I am able to, I really work hard to try to sponsor as many events as I can across the world in underfunded or high potential areas. And I see so much wonderful things coming out of the African continent, and I want to be able to support there. And so if we are able to, that's absolutely on my list to sponsor. And if anyone is watching here who are looking, who may have a few $100 to a few $1,000 to sponsor a conference, please consider doing it in the African continent. There is so much goodness that you can get, not just by giving a gift that you'll never see benefits return. This is an investment in a community that you will quickly receive returns on your investment. You will absolutely find advocates for your tools, people who will go on international stages to speak about your work product. And they are constantly building fantastic things and giving really thoughtful and insightful feedback immediately. So just like I keep it on my radar to support events in the African continent as much as I can, as a owner of a business unit, I am encouraging other people to do that as well. And then as an individual, I try to donate to different events in the African continent as much as I can. And it's wonderful to see, because I see the growth that it's given me to support Python events locally, and it's given my career a boost, and I see that across the world.
All right, that's interesting and very very helpful. Like, thank everyone like following us, watching the live session and ask question. Thank you as well, Dawn, for being with us here today. And yeah, I think we will say goodbye and we stay in touch
Of
to
course.
continue the session.
Thanks so much for
Okay.
having me. It was a pleasure. Bye, all.
Thank you so much. Hey.